Have you ever felt that moment where the words are right there, like on the tip of your tongue, you understand perfectly what's being said, but when it's your turn to speak,
Hmm.
nothing?
Yeah, at a freeze.
Exactly. And, millions around the world who are learning English know exactly that feeling. The words just seem to evaporate.
It's a really common experience for language learners, and honestly, it can be incredibly discouraging,
Mm.
especially when you've put in so much time studying, right?
Totally. All that grammar, all that vocab, and then silence. So that feeling, that block understanding, but not quite being able to say it, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah, we're focusing on practical, um, really actionable ways to break through that barrier,
Yeah.
building genuine speaking confidence.
And the really hopeful part, based on the research we've been looking at, is that you can absolutely do this. You don't necessarily need to, move to an English-speaking country.
That's such a key point. Immersion helps, sure, but it's definitely not the only way.
Yeah.
This article we're digging into today is just packed with smart, usable techniques, things anyone can start with wherever they are.
Exactly. So our mission here is pretty straightforward. We want to pull out the most effective, the most useful strategies from this source to help you, listening right now, start speaking English more confidently. Maybe even see a difference today.
Let's do it.
Okay, so where do we start? The article kicks off with something maybe a bit unexpected when you think about speaking. It starts with mindset.
Right. And it's fascinating how much emphasis it puts on our internal state. Like, before a single word comes out, our thoughts, our beliefs, they have this huge impact.
How so?
We'll take that fear of making mistakes. It could be a really powerful, self-sabotaging thing. If your head is just full of, what if I mess up? What if I sound stupid?
Right.
Personally, you're basically making it harder for yourself before you even start.
It's like putting the brakes on before you even hit the gas. So, okay, how do we shift that? What does the source suggest for getting over that fear?
It gives some really concrete steps. First, and this is big, is accepting mistakes. Seeing them not just as normal, but actually as valuable.
Valuable. How?
Every mistake, the article argues, isn't a failure. It's feedback. It's a little signpost showing you exactly what you need to adjust or learn. It reframes those moments we usually dread.
I like that. Like hitting a wrong note when learning guitar, it tells you where the right note is. Okay, what else on mindset?
Another really crucial one, stop comparing yourself to others. Resist that urge.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is. But the article reminds us everyone's learning journey is totally unique. Someone else might sound smoother, but maybe they started earlier or practice more, or they just hide their mistakes better. It's your path.
Yeah, comparison is definitely the thief of joy and confidence too. Okay, the article also mentioned visualization, picturing success.
Yeah, visualizing successful conversations. It's a technique used in lots of performance areas, not just language. By mentally rehearsing a smooth, friendly chat in English, you're kind of priming your brain.
Like a mental warm-up.
Exactly. It can lower anxiety, make the real thing feel less daunting.
Okay, cool. And the last mindset tip feels a bit counterintuitive, maybe, especially when you're nervous.
Right. It stresses how vital it is to speak even when you feel nervous. Confidence isn't something you just wait for.
Ah,
It's built through the action of speaking. Every time you push through that nervousness, even with just one sentence, you're building that confidence muscle.
that makes so much sense. You build it by doing it. And to really drive this home, there's a mini mantra in the article.
It's a short, powerful affirmation, something you can say to yourself. It's okay to sound imperfect. Every word I speak brings me closer to fluency.
Ooh, I like that.
You can use it before you speak, or even after, just to reinforce that positive growth mindset. It helps fight off that inner critic.
Simple, direct, encouraging. Okay, great start. Mindset first. So once we've got our heads in a better space, what's the next practical step?
Then the article moves into building a strong foundation. And the core idea here is basically master the simple stuff first. Easy, everyday conversations before you try tackling, quantum physics in English.
Right, walk before you run. Build the foundation before the skyscraper. So what counts as these easy conversations?
Things like basic greetings, obviously. Hi, how are you? And all variations.
Wow.
Introducing yourself, not just your name, but maybe I'm from Mexico, I work in marketing. Simple stuff.
Okay.
Talking about hobbies. I love hiking and reading. Or your daily routine. I wake up at 7 a.m. and have coffee. These are the bread and butter of most interactions.
The absolute basics of connecting with someone. And is there a specific exercise for this?
Yep. It suggests creating a little, maybe 5-line mini speech about your typical day. Just a few sentences.
Okay.
And then the key is practicing it out loud every single day. It just helps you get comfortable talking about yourself using that core vocabulary and structure.
That sounds really doable, just a few lines daily. Okay, positive mindset, check. Foundational conversations, check. What's next?
Okay, this next one might seem a bit surprising when we're talking about speaking, but it's crucial. Listening.
Listening to get better at speaking.
Absolutely. The article really hammers this home. Good speakers are almost always great listeners.
Interesting. How does being a better listener make you a better speaker? What's the connection?
Well, when you're actively listening, you're soaking things up like a sponge. You hear new words used naturally, in context. You absorb common sentence structures, how people actually piece ideas together. And importantly, you internalize pronunciation, rhythm, intonation, the music of the language.
So it's like downloading the blueprints for speaking just by listening carefully. What are some specific listening practices it recommends?
Several good ones. Watching YouTube videos is great. Maybe start with subtitles on for understanding,
Right.
but then crucially watch again without them. Really push your ears.
Yeah.
Another one is listening to short podcasts you find interesting,
Okay.
and then try summarizing what you heard out loud in your own words. That forces you to process and then produce the language.
Good one. And there was another technique, sounded quite intensive.
Ah, yes. The shadowing exercise. This one's really effective for fluency and pronunciation.
How does that work?
You pick a tiny snippet of audio, like just 10 seconds from a podcast or a show. You play it, pause it,
Yeah.
and then you repeat exactly what you heard, trying to match the speaker's voice, their speed, rhythm, even their emotion.
Wow, like being a vocal mimic.
Pretty much. Doing that daily, even for a few minutes, can really make your own speech sound more natural over time.
Cool. Okay, so listening is key. We're practicing basics. What's the next hurdle the article talks about for smoother speaking?
The next big mental shift is learning to think directly in English.
Ah, the holy grail.
Hmm.
Avoiding that constant translation in your head.
Exactly. That translation step going from your native language, thinking, translating, then speaking. It just slows everything down in a real conversation. It creates lag.
You can almost see the wheels turning sometimes, but how do you train your brain to do that? Sounds hard.
It takes practice. But the article offers simple, everyday techniques. One is just consciously labeling objects around you in English, silently or out loud. That's a lamp. This is my phone.
Okay, simple enough.
Another is narrating your own actions. Again, can be internal. I'm walking to the kitchen now. I am pouring water. It connects the words directly to the actions.
Like providing your own commentary track.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And maybe pretending you're explaining what you're doing to an English-speaking friend as you go about your day.
And there's a specific challenge for this.
Yeah, daily challenge. Just spend 5 minutes every day actively describing your surroundings in English. What you see, what's happening, even silently. It just gets the English part of your brain working.
5 minutes, very manageable.
Okay, thinking in English, listening well.
Hmm.
What else helps unlock conversation?
This next one is super practical for actual conversations. Learning useful, ready-made phrases. Not just single words or complex grammar rules, but chunks of language.
Like conversational building blocks.
Yeah.
Exactly. The article calls them power phrases and points out that in real talk, these phrases are often your best friends. They help you navigate, respond, keep things flowing.
Makes sense. Sometimes a good phrase is worth more than a perfectly conjugated verb. What are some examples?
It gives some great ones like, "That's interesting, tell me more." Perfect for showing interest and encouraging the other person.
Useful.
Or, "I'm not quite sure, what do you think?" Great for admitting you don't know and
Oh.
politely asking for their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And could you explain that a bit differently? Essential for asking for clarification without sounding rude.
These are gold dust for real chats. How do we best learn and actually use them?
The suggestion is choose maybe 5 new phrases a week. Write them down.
Okay.
Then make it a goal to use each phrase at least 3 times that week.
Yeah.
In a chat, in writing, even just practicing saying them in imaginary situations. The aim is to make them feel natural, automatic.
Active usage. Got it. Okay, building our phrase bank. Now, the next technique, the article itself admits this one can feel a bit weird at first.
Huh? Yes. Recording yourself speaking English.
Ah, the dreaded sound of your own voice.
It can be cringy initially, yeah. But the article makes a strong case that it's one of the fastest ways to spot where you need to improve.
Why is hearing yourself back so helpful despite the potential awkwardness?
Well, first, you catch things you totally miss while you're speaking. Pronunciation glitches, maybe a common grammar slip, things you're just unaware of.
Right, like an objective mirror.
Exactly. Second, It's amazing for tracking progress. Listen to a recording from a month ago, and you'll likely hear improvement, which is super motivating.
Sure.
And third, just getting used to the sound of your voice speaking English actually builds confidence over time. It normalizes it for you.
That makes sense. What kind of recordings should we make? Daily prompts.
Yeah, it suggests short, like 1-minute daily recordings. Just talk about simple things. What you did today, how you're feeling, a random thought you had. Keep it brief and consistent.
1 minute daily. Again, manageable. And there's a bonus tip with this.
Yes. Listen back to recordings from maybe a month ago. It's often the clearest way to see, or rather, hear the progress you've made. It can be a real boost when you feel like you're stuck.
Like a little audio time capsule.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, we've got all these individual practice methods, but how do we bring it all together for actual real-world fluency?
That leads right into the next point. Connecting with other people, actually speaking with other learners, or ideally native speakers.
Right. Practice in isolation is good, but real conversation is the goal.
Absolutely. The article really stresses that interaction is key. That's where you test everything, where you learn to respond spontaneously, adapt, manage the flow. It's the proving ground.
Makes total sense. But where can people find these speaking opportunities? It's not always easy.
The article lists some really practical places. Facebook groups dedicated to English learners are a good start.
Okay.
Language exchange apps. There are tons now connecting you with partners worldwide. Online meetups or conversation clubs, often on Zoom. And even local options, like checking university language centers or community colleges. Sometimes they have exchange programs open to the public.
Lots of options if you look. But, okay, first time joining a group or talking to a new partner can be pretty nerve-wracking. Any tips for that?
Yeah, great first-time tip. Don't aim for perfection. Just focus on staying in the conversation.
Just participate.
Exactly. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to make mistakes. The main goal is just to communicate, to keep the interaction going. Take the pressure off.
Good advice. And any helpful starter phrases for navigating those moments when you get stuck or don't understand?
Yes, some lifesavers. Things like, sorry, could you see that again? Simple, polite.
Classic.
Or, I'm not sure about that word. What does it mean? Totally
Yeah.
fine to ask.
Yeah.
And let me think for a second. Bide you a moment to gather your thoughts without just freezing up. These keep things moving smoothly.
Invaluable tools.
Okay, so we're connecting, we're using our phrases. How can we make practice less like homework and more fun? Oh, that's the next section. Using games, conversation games.
Ooh, interesting.
The idea is when you turn practice into a game, it lowers the stakes. It reduces that fear of making mistakes because the focus shifts to playing, to creativity.
Makes sense. Less pressure, more play. What kind of games does it suggest?
Some fun, easy ones. Would you rather,
Yeah.
Pose silly choices. Would you rather travel to space or live underwater? Gets you explaining your choice.
Fun.
2 truths and a lie. Everyone shares 3 facts. One's a lie, others guess.
Oh.
Great for practicing descriptive language and asking questions.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And story building. One person starts a story with a sentence, the next adds a sentence, and so on. Builds collaboration and imagination.
These sound way more engaging than just drills. So the focus really shifts to just using the language creatively.
Exactly. And that reduced anxiety, that focus on fun, can actually lead to more confident natural speaking down the line.
Okay, games are great. What about another technique, something about reading?
Yes, reading aloud. It might sound simple, but the article highlights it as a fantastic way to train your brain, your mouth, and your ears to all work together.
Synchronizing the systems.
Pretty much. That
Yeah.
connects the visual word, the physical act of saying it, and the sound of hearing it. A multisensory workout.
Cool. What should people read aloud? Anything specific?
Start easy. Children's books can be great. Simpler language, clear stories, blog posts on topics you like, short news articles. The key is material that isn't too complex, so you can focus on how you're saying it.
Right, focus on the delivery and the exercise itself.
Just read maybe 1 page aloud each day. Focus on speaking clearly, articulating the words. Don't worry about speed. Focus on clarity.
Clarity over speed. Got it.
And bonus points, the article mentioned this. Again, record yourself reading aloud. It doubles the benefit because you can listen back and pinpoint things like pronunciation or pacing you want to adjust.
That recording tip keeps coming back. Okay, so we're doing all these things. Mindset, basics, listening, thinking, phrases, recording, connecting, games, reading aloud. What's the glue that holds it all together for long-term improvement?
Consistency. That's the core principle underscored throughout the article. Improving your speaking isn't a quick fix. It's gradual. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And it absolutely demands regular, consistent effort. Even small amounts of practice done consistently add up hugely over time.
Consistency is king. Any tips from the article on how to stay consistent? Because that's often the hard part.
Definitely. It suggests setting a minimum daily goal, something super achievable, like maybe just 10 minutes of speaking aloud, makes it less daunting to start each day.
Small wins.
Exactly. Also, tracking your practice. Keep a simple log or use an app. Seeing those consecutive days, those streaks, can be really motivating.
Yeah, don't break the chain.
Right. And finally, reward yourself. Acknowledge your effort when you stick with it or hit a small milestone. Positive reinforcement helps build the habit.
Good practical tips. And it really emphasizes the power of daily effort, doesn't it?
Massively. It explicitly says something like 10 minutes a day is better than 1 hour once a week.
Wow.
That regular exposure keeps the language fresh, keeps the pathways active in your brain. Infrequent cramming just doesn't embed it the same way.
Okay, so to make this even more concrete, the article lays out a sample, real daily speaking routine. What does that look like?
It breaks it down into small chunks throughout the day, like maybe in the morning. Think 5 simple sentences in English while you have coffee. Listen to a quick 5-minute English podcast.
Okay, manageable.
Afternoon. Practice those 3 power phrases you're working on. Read 1 paragraph of an article aloud.
Still small chunks.
Exactly. And evening. Record that 1-minute audio diary. Maybe reflect for a second on one thing that went well in your practice today. It weaves these techniques into a realistic, non-overwhelming daily flow.
That sounds incredibly practical and achievable. Not like you need to find an extra hour you don't have. Okay, this is all great advice. And to show it works, the article includes some real stories, right?
Yes, these real learner success stories are really encouraging. There's Maria from Brazil who just practiced talking to herself in English on her walk to work.
Just talking to herself.
Yeah, and after about 6 months, she felt confident chatting easily with tourists. Then there's Amit from India. He found an online language buddy, practiced twice a week, and ended up feeling comfortable enough to give work presentations in English.
Wow, big step.
And Sophie from France. She felt awkward recording herself reading stories at first.
Like we talked about.
Exactly. But she stuck with it for 3 months and really noticed a big jump in her pronunciation and fluency.
Those are fantastic examples. They really show that these aren't just theories. Applying these techniques consistently really does lead to results for ordinary people.
Totally. It's about the practice, not some magical talent.
Okay, we've covered so much ground. To help listeners kind of check their understanding, there's a quick quiz.
Yep, quick quiz time. Just 3 questions to reinforce the main takeaways.
All right, let's do it. Question 1. Should you wait until your grammar is perfect before speaking? A, yes, or B, no. What's the answer according to the source?
Definitely B, no. The whole point is not to wait for perfection. Start speaking, practice, communicates more than silence.
Okay, question 2. What's more important in conversation? A, perfection, or B, communication?
Again, it's B, communication. Connecting, getting your message across, that's the primary goal, not flawless grammar every single time.
Makes sense. And question 3, which daily habit helps your speaking most? A, thinking in English, or B, memorizing grammar rules only?
According to the article, it's A, thinking in English. While grammar is important, training your brain to operate directly in English is key for fluency and naturalness.
Great recap. Those really hit the core messages. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final big takeaway message the source wants us to remember?
It's really empowering, I think. Basically, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to sound like a native speaker.
Right.
You just have to show up. You have to practice using these kinds of strategies, and you have to keep going. Persistence is key.
Absolutely. It's about the journey, the gradual progress, not some impossible finish line. And the article sums it up nicely.
Yeah. One conversation at a time, you'll become the confident English speaker you dream of being.
Love that. So to put this into action immediately, we have a simple today's challenge for you, the listener.
Super simple. The challenge is speak 1 sentence aloud in English right now. Just 1.
That's it. For example, you could just say aloud, I am learning to speak better English every day. Go on, try it.
You've just taken that first crucial step.
Keep practicing, keep listening, keep speaking, keep going. You're doing amazing.